Well, we have always said if there was one player is our favorite player all time here on A's Cast Live, and he has made the most appearances by far on this program, it's this man, Liam Hendriks, right here, who has been, once again, all the years here in the Bay Area, what you have done to help people, to help animals, what you've done for kids, and then now with your battle with cancer and beating cancer, and now a new project for you in your life. It is great to have you back on, but it is so good to see you. Now, we sent out so many thoughts and prayers for you when we found out about it, but of course, in your fashion, you beat it, and here you are.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. But yeah, it was not the off season we really drew up, that's for sure. But hey, it is what it is. You take them as they come, and you push forward.
I mean, it just had to be shocking when you first got the news.
A little bit, yes and no. But because I'd had the lumps there for 6-7 months, that made it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Like I had WebMD and all
Now
that
you
sort of fun
knew,
stuff.
yeah.
So like I looked at it and I was like, okay, it could be this, or this. Then they actually told me what it was, and it wasn't as much of a shock as it was. I wouldn't say a relief by any means, but it was nice at least knowing what it is, because I was more worried about them not being able to figure out what it was. And then you just go through like, okay, is it something that I need to be concerned about? Is it not? Like, what do I do from here? It's just the not knowing is always harder than actually knowing, because as soon as you know, you can put a plan in place and you can start getting after it.
You know, recently ESPN just did a piece on you and taking you a little bit through the process. Just take us through that process, what it was like, because in the back of your mind, knowing you, it's like, I'm going to beat this and I will be back out on the mound.
Yeah, so initially we got told December 7th. Called my wife on the way home, and yeah, that was an emotional time. But after that, it was okay. Let's get everything confirmed. Let's move forward and let's see what we need to do. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to go through this, but what can we do to like? There's a silver lining in there somewhere. Maybe it's silver lining for me, and it's a little bit of rest and all that sort of stuff. But it was mainly, okay, look, this is an underappreciated group with the young adult adolescent cancers group. Let's see what we can do to raise awareness. Let's see what we can do to push forward. And let's get some fun. Let's see what we can do funding-wise and help out with the LLS or the LRF, the Lymphoma Research Foundation, or the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society. So it's like there's always little things we can do. And that was one thing that really kind of helped me focus on a lot of things is, okay, look, this sucks for me, but if we can make it easier on the next person, let's do that.
It is amazing how you have always been, and I don't know, I'd have to talk to your mom. You have, no matter what, I remember you get DFA'd, and no matter what happens to you, you're always thinking about how to make it better and how to make it better for other people. How's that possible?
Well, I mean, it's an easy way to not ever get down. Like you could get diagnosed with what I did, and then we go, oh, why me? Why all this? And it's like, no, look, out of all the people I know, it's probably I'm the best person suited for this because of the attitude I have in a lot of things. I still remain extremely optimistic. I'm a constant positive. So like, why that it's better for me to go through something like this because I know that I can handle it. And I tell you what, it was the hardest on my wife because I'm on the bed, I'm getting all the treatment done, but she's sitting there not being able to help out, not being able to do anything. And that's that can't feel good. So me going through the treatment wasn't bad at all, but I always think about the caretakers. They're the ones who go through it. They're the ones who see the goods and the lows and the highs and everything, but they're the ones who can't help. And it's a helpless feeling.
Well, your wife has been such a rock in so many different ways. I remember back when you were an athletic, and there were certain players that were in the bullpen who, let's just say, weren't the most mentally tough guys, and your wife wouldn't allow you to be one of those guys. And I remember how strong your wife was through your adversity just as a player. I can imagine what she was like now through the diagnosis and you getting better. Just talk about the strength of your partner, your wife, what she's meant to you in your life, not only as a player, but going through all these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's exacerbated the fact of how much we need each other. Like, me going through this, I would not have been able to. One, I don't think I'd be in the spot of my career that I would be in without her. And then going through this, it was like there was some days where I was struggling a little bit days wise, just mentally. And she was the person who was consistently picking me up when I was down, which is usually it's her having to kind of push me down a little bit to make sure I don't get too big-headed and too into myself. So it was another turn of things. But no, she's the best. She's been kind of running point on a lot of these things that we're trying to do off the field, and going through that while I call it babysitting, but like taking care of the animals and all that sort of stuff, and then moving houses. And if I get traded or DFA'd or anything like that, she's having to pack everything up and move. And then, yeah, it's she's a godsend, but she's unbelievable. I'll never be able to thank her enough or show her enough appreciation, show her enough love for everything she has done for me. And not only me, but everyone around her. She just she's that person. She cares more about anybody else than herself, and that's something that's really, really inspiring to be a part of.
I think it was in Cleveland, because she's from Cleveland, right?
From Ohio, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I was having a conversation with her. This was years ago, and we can't talk about the language that she used, but she would never let you feel sorry for yourself, and she challenged you when things weren't going good. She challenged, basically, I'll put it in nice terms, not to be soft.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's the same thing. Like you.
How many guys' wives go, "Don't be soft"?
The white. Yeah, it's yeah, there were certain expletives that were said, and that's kind of about the first time I'm like, no, I'm gonna end up marrying this person.
Yeah.
But no, she's that's what I said. She's great for me when I'm struggling a little bit, and she gives you the kick up the ass and be like, why are you thinking that way? Or when I'm going really, really well, she gives me the point of view like, hey, don't let it get to your head, because you know what? When you start getting complacent, when you start thinking everything's easy, that's when you start struggling again. And that's something that she knows the right time. And don't get me wrong, I don't like it at the moment. It's a battle in the moment. But when I self-reflect and go back a little bit, it's something that is she's generally spot on, and the timing is almost impeccable.
Whatever you think of the ESPYs, the Jimmy V Award has always meant so much, and so many great people in sports who are, instrumental in helping fight cancer have won this award. And the fact that you're now going to get this award this year, I know this is pretty recent. I mean, you've done a lot of great things in your career now. This is obviously different from closing games and being at the All-Star game and that kind of stuff, but this has to be right up there.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, obviously the legacy that it brings is there's a lot that goes into something like this. There's a lot of background that is like reading all about it was there's a lot. But for me, I'm so honored to be a part of anything like this. Even to be like there was a nominated or anything like that, that would be huge. But being able to go to something like this and win the Jimmy V Award I'm extremely humbled, and I'm extremely honored to be a part of it. And hopefully I can continue living my life and pushing through with everything in Jimmy V's honor, and make sure that I'm doing things the right way and not but yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is I want to raise awareness, and this is a great opportunity too, and hopefully I can keep doing things the right way.
I think of his speech. I think of Stuart Scott's. I mean, some of these speeches at the ESPYs and the Jimmy V Award have just been incredible. This got to be the biggest speech of your life.
Yeah, and I'm usually a wing it kind of guy, but I don't think Chrissy's going to allow me to.
Yeah, I don't know if this is one you wing.
No, but no, I mean, it's definitely I feel like I'm a decent public speaker. I feel like I can talk pretty well, but yeah, going into something like this,
I'm like you. I'm a wing it kind of guy.
Yeah.
I'm just, hey, you know what? You may be bullet points.
Yeah, bullet point. I ramble too much. Chris will have this thing written out perfectly, so that way my enunciation's correct. Everything's done in the right way, because I ramble. I get going, and my head gets going before my words do. But no, I'm excited to be out there. I'm excited to be a part of it. And now being, that was nothing I ever thought of, being able to have a chance to go to the ESPYs or anything like that. So I'm pretty excited for the experience.
The thing you love to do is throw a baseball. What was that like when you got to come back? You're in the minor leagues. You're getting that opportunity to play again. You're healthy. You're feeling, I don't know how much better you're feeling, but you're definitely feeling better. What was that moment like? Like a rebirth?
Yeah, it was a lot. Obviously, it was an experience that I not never really wanted, but it was an experience that going out there that I wasn't expecting. Like I walked out to the bullpen, and they put some stuff on the video board, and there was people with signs, there was people, everything like that. So that was one thing I didn't expect. Then trying to get ready for the game while trying to be my normal self, which is angry and kind of loud and all this sort of stuff. It's really hard to do when there's a bunch of people cheering for you, not because of the situation, but because of a different situation. It's like coming into a game. I'm used to it. Go, okay, it's a little closer. It's a little tighter. I'm coming in and the lights go off. Everybody gets excited. But this time I was excited for a different point. Like it was coming back. And I had to continually remind myself that it was more than just missing 2 months. It was more than just being on the IL for a couple of months. It was bigger than that. And it's bigger than me because I just pictured it like, oh, I've only been gone for 2 months. It's not that big of a deal. But there's a lot of people going out there that are out there going through something similar, that watching someone like myself go through that can potentially inspire them to like just have that positive attitude, know that I'm not alone. I can do this. And that was something that I'll be holding with me for the rest of my life. But I want to make sure I do things the right way and make sure I continue to be that kind of person who's making sure that, hey, look, you're not alone. There's others out there. It's, as I said, to any survivor I meet, it's a group that no one wants to be a part of, but everyone wants to be a part of at the same time.
All right. So, yes, you do pitch with anger. And unfortunately, there's crowd mics that always catch the things you say when pitches come out of your hand that you don't like. What is it like now, the guy who pitches with all this anger and there's nothing but love coming your way? Because no one's going to boo you. I mean, right. Well, they will end up booing you.
They
again.
will end up.
But right now, there's just love everywhere you go. And you're the guy that's out there snorting and yelling and cursing and,
Look, I like it loud. It doesn't always have to be positive. It doesn't have to be negative. I just like it loud. I only got a chance to pitch one game on the road so far since I came back before I went back on the IL with my elbow.
What was it like?
I was in New York. And so
you got love still, huh?
Yeah, it's weird. You go to Yankee Stadium, you expect to be booed. That's just how it goes. But there was some cheering. So immediately I gave up a first pitch home run. So that way the crowd got into it a little bit more, and I was fine after that. So there's little things you can do, little tweaks. But it's definitely going to be a weird experience. But as I said, as long as it's loud, I don't care. I feed off the energy, whether it be positive, negative, in the middle. It doesn't really matter to me. As long as it's loud, as long as I can do something and to be honest, get out of my own head a little bit.
Elbow's always been a kind of thing for you. We've always kind of known it.
Yeah.
And you're like, hell, I don't care. I'm going to fire through it.
She's hanging on. That was the same thing this time. I was like, okay, I felt some pain in there. And I'm like, look, it's either going to go or I'm going to be able to pitch through this and it'll go away.
You've been saying this for years.
Yeah, I found out I had a tear in my UCL in 2008. And that's been there. That's common knowledge to every team, so I'm not worried about saying it. But, it's been in there for a little bit. The last couple of years, I've had some forearm stuff kind of come up, and that's obviously everything's a little bit weaker in there. So whenever anything else goes, it exacerbates the issue. So we had some PRP a couple of weeks ago. Spent the last couple of days throwing, just trying to get back, and then did an off day just to make sure I don't overdo it. Get back and throw the next couple of days and see how it goes. But as I said, this year we're just taking it day by day. There's no plan or anything like that. It all depends on how I recover.
I always loved going through the timeline. I was like, this is, I've been doing this a long time now, unfortunately. I've been around. And I'm like, the timeline of guy gets DFA'd, guy stays in the organization, guy says to hell with it, I'm getting back to doing it my way.
Guy gets his number given to another guy while still in the organization.
And then comes back, starts the wild card game.
Yep.
And then next you know,
gets the loss in the wild card game.
And then he's on the cover of the media guide.
Yeah.
You're on the cover of the media guide. I mean, the changes in Oakland. For you, the career changes in Oakland are unreal.
Maybe they just had enough
unprecedented.
They just had enough of putting Simeon on the cover every time, I guess.
But, you had such a year. You went from a guy being DFA to a guy who's on the media guide.
Yeah, I had a good year in 19. And that was partly due to a little bit of a different mindset in me and being humbled. And a lot to do with the coaching staff allowing me that opportunity. Like who knows what would have happened if, say, that everyone was doing well in that bullpen. I started that year as the long guy, the long slop guy, and then all of a sudden I went from there to all of a sudden being the closer around June and moving forward. So it was who knows without that opportunity where I'd be at right now. But as I said, hard work. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And that's something that I've taken into it. And also be unique. Find your own way of doing things. It doesn't have to be the right way. It doesn't have to be the wrong way. As long as you're your own person, I think it makes everything a little easier. Just don't be average. I always that's my advice to kids every time they ask me, what do you want to do as a pitcher? Don't be average. Just find what works for you and don't be average. Because that means everyone else is. You can be below average. You can be above average. Just don't be average.
We've told A's fans for years to get behind causes that you've been behind. Where do you want us now? Because I know when my mom passed away from breast cancer, It was like save the flowers, donate to help, to research, to help find a cure. Where do you want us to now donate?
Look, there's different ways of doing things. You can donate, whether it be time or money. Like, look, the amount of people that I was in hospital with, in the infusion rooms, that were there alone, it was heartbreaking. Like, I had Christy with me there no matter what, at every time. But the amount of people there alone, I mean, I don't know how they would go there if you could just show up at the hospital like, hey, is there anybody who's alone I can just sit with and talk to for a while or anything like that. But look, the one there's the LLS, which is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. They do a lot of research and great stuff. There's the Lymphoma Research Foundation that my wife is currently looking at trying to join the board for that. So there's a lot of different places, but I'm not telling you to any specific places. But one thing I will stress to everybody: anybody going through anything, whether it be cancer, whether it be depression, whether it be anxiety, whether it be anything, just reach out. You're not a burden. You will never be a burden. Just reach out, say hello, so ask how you're doing. Those are the messages that really got me, that helped me get through everything. Because on the you know that, like, on days where you're posting stuff on Instagram or anything like that, people are going to listen. But it's those other days where you just know that someone just thought of you. Just reach out and see how someone's doing, because those are the huge days, and those that could be the day that really defines their optimism for the rest of their treatment process or whatever they're going through that day. Just reach out and be a good friend, and you'll never be a burden on just reaching out to see how someone's doing.
You said this to me years ago on the pregame show, that what you just want to do is you want to make life better before you leave. And you do that on an everyday basis. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us. It has been such a treat to watch your career, to watch it just, I mean, it's been a crazy ride, but a crazy, beautiful ride. And
Yeah.
you and your wife are such great people, and everything that you do for people, for animals, you name it, now to help fight cancer. You're a wonderful man.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And now I'm going to go and meet a couple families who are surviving cancer themselves. So doing something on the road everywhere we go. We're going to get a family out on the road, at home, making sure that we get some people out and show them a good time, and then bring them out to the game and get them on the field for batting practice and stuff like that.
The great Liam Hendriks right here on A's Cast Live.